Greetings whisky lovers, and welcome to another episode of Whiskey Straight. My name's Al, and thank you for joining me on another episode of my spiritual odyssey. This time, as you can see, I've changed location. I've taken some inspiration from my friends there at Soul Egg Whiskey. It's a bit baltic here at the moment, hence why I'm all wrapped up. I'm not sure if you can quite see it. There's a smattering of snow there on the top of the mountains, which is kind of unusual for over here because we're right beside the coast. But it's a cold front that's been moving in, and cold is not good for people like me who have pulmonary sarcoidosis, so I'll not spend too long out here. However, for review number 6, I wanted to stay in the Highlands and back to the Dalwhinnie distillery. And the reason for this is, after reviewing the Dalwhinnie Winter's Gold, I was doing a bit of research, and I saw that the Winter's Gold was priced at the same price as the Dalwhinnie 15. So I thought that was a wee bit strange, and then when I looked at it, and it gives users on the site the chance to rate the whiskies, the Winter's Gold actually got higher user ratings than the Dalwhinnie 15. So I thought, that can't be right, I'm going to have to look into it. So perchance I happen to have a bottle of the Dalwhinnie 15. So I thought, saying it's cold, I've just done the Winter's Gold, I might as well get stuck into the 15 and see how the two compare. So what do we know about Dalwhinnie so far? We know it's under the Diageo portfolio. We know it's in the Highlands of Scotland. It's in the Cairngorms National Park. It's the highest and coldest distillery in Scotland. I'm going to go inside very shortly, open up this 15 and see if I agree with the majority of users on the Dalwhinnie website that the Winter's Gold is better than the 15. I suspect not, but who knows? We shall wait and see. I'll dodge on inside now before bits of me start falling off, and we'll see how we go. See you inside for the nosing and the tasting. Hey folks, we're back inside this time, back into the Whiskey Straight lounge and out of the cold, thankfully. And as I explained earlier, we're here to talk about the Dalwhinnie 15-year-old, which is coming hot on the heels after my review of the Dalwhinnie Winter's Gold. Now, a few more things to tell you about Dalwhinnie before we actually get into the nosing and tasting and what I think of the dram. Now, Dalwhinnie comes from the old Gaelic word meaning meeting place, and that's pretty apt when you think about, you know, what whiskey's all about. It's nice to meet up with your friends to share a few drams and share a few stories and talk about our shared passion, which is whiskey. Now, a couple of other things. Dalwhinnie is known as one of the big 6 classic malts. Now, what are the others? The others are Glenkinchie from the Lowlands, Cragganmore from Speyside, Talisker from Skye, then Oban from West Highlands, and Lagavulin from Islay. And another thing that Dalwhinnie prides itself on is the smoothness and the subtleness of its drink, and they refer to all their expressions as the gentle spirit. So we'll read a bit from the box here and see what they say we're supposed to expect. It's smooth tasting. It yields flavours of creamy vanilla and a heather honey sweetness, finishing to a smoky Highland glow of surprising intensity. Now, let's see if that's what we get. Okay, now, right off on the nose now, there's a nice, quite big honey hit. It's rich and it's warm. Yep, and with that comes some heather, as they have mentioned. It is there, but I'm also getting some lemon Now, and the lemon comes together nicely with the honey. In fact, it's kind of reminiscent of a honey lemon throat lozenge. Now, that's maybe because I wasn't overly well around the Christmas period and I had a few, and it's still right there in my head. Now, it's not just that sickly sweet, exact same flavour and aroma as that, but it's reminiscent of it, and it brings back memories of that. So now, coming in on top of that, the heather and the honey's still there, mostly the honey, but it's opening up now to a nice, I would say, oak, but a very light oak. And there's the slightest hint of mixed berries coming in there as well. Now, that just pops in there, and it's not overly apparent, but it does pop in. Oh yeah, now I can see where there's a bit of depth coming in there. When you get right into it, you can get a bit of peat coming in on the end of it, the peat wafting over heather. It's there, it's subtle, and unless you get right into the Glencairn, unless you get right into it, it's not that overly apparent otherwise. So let's take a wee taste here and see how it fares on the palate. Pretty much like on the nose. What we've got here is honey and heather. It's right there up front. It's rich, it's vibrant. You know, there's some fruitiness in there as well. Mostly I'm getting like citrusy fruits, a bit of orange. And again, that mixed berries comes in as well. You know, it's quite a vibrant fruitiness. There's a warmth to it without spiciness. And you can see probably with that why they would refer to this as the gentle spirit. This is one of the things I love about whiskey tasting. Is when you take a couple of sips, you get different things before it all melds together. And now I'm getting it's a creamy, malty, mouth-coating feeling. There's some dark fruits in there, like sultanas, like stewed dark fruits, dark chocolate, and some charred wood as well. It's a bit. And there is that slightest hint of peat on the tail end as well. Now, what I'm getting here is it is lingering in the mouth. It does linger to a nice, and the more it lingers, the more that darkness, their dark side comes through, and the more that wee sort of hint of peat emerges. Now, what I'm going to do here, although it doesn't say it on the box, but it does, if you look at the website, it mentions it's best served chilled. Now, for anybody that saw my last video, I wasn't overly impressed with the Dalwhinnie Winter's Gold when it was frozen. It kind of, for me, killed off all of the aromas apart from a couple, but it did intensify the sharpness and the flavours. So you can see why it's called Winter's Gold. But I've had this in the fridge or the freezer even for a few hours, so let's see how it compares to room temperature. Now, what I'm getting here is a few more flavours than I expected, because when obviously I did the other one, there was only a couple of flavours, but this it does retain that pleasant heather honey aroma, but also with it I'm getting some oak and malty peatiness in there as well. So freezing it hasn't killed off the flavours as much. Let's just maybe change them slightly in the way they come through. So let's have a taste and see. Yep, as in the Winter's Gold, it does intensify the flavours as well, you know, from the tasting at room temperature. It's much closer to the room temperature flavours than the Winter's Gold would be. It intensifies them, but not in a harsh way. It brings them through a bit more apparent. It gives them a bit more, how shall I say it, oomph. And altogether, I would say I'm not a fan of freezing, but if they advise it, you might as well try it. And altogether, the freezing doesn't really do a lot of harm to this. So it's horses for courses. You know, if you prefer it frozen, you know, stick some in the freezer and see what it's like. Test it at room temperature, taste it when it's come out of the freezer, and see which one you prefer. You know, it's entirely up to yourselves. So, as I mentioned in my introduction when I was outside, one of the reasons why I decided to do this one again was because just after doing the Winter's Gold and looking at the website, seeing that this 15-year-old was the same price as the Winter's Gold. It's bottled again at ABV 43%. I was sort of a bit surprised to see that the Winter's Gold had a higher customer rating than the 15. Now, just to break it down, out of 5 stars, the Winter Gold received 3.5 of an average, and that was from 391 votes. And then there were 268 votes for this, and that translated to an average of 3. Now, for me, I would be the other way around. The Winter's Gold is a bit more harsh, it's a bit more in your face, but then again, you would expect that. It does what it says in the box. It warms you up on a cold winter's day. It is appropriately named. So there are subtle differences between the two. So it all depends on which you prefer. This is more subtle. It's warming, it's sweet, it's more balanced, it has a bit more finesse. This is more like one to sit back and savour, and it's just more subtle, there's more finesse, and it does have a better lingering finish, and the flavours are more balanced. And that's my opinion, you know. But again, it's horses for courses. Whiskey's subjective, it's what you like. Just because I think the 15 is better doesn't mean to say it is. It's better for me, I like it better, but you've got to judge that for yourself. So there we go. I prefer the 15. It's kind of hard to believe that they're both the same price. You're highly unlikely to get this at much of a bargain, although you will get the Winter's Gold at a bargain. But yep, I would definitely buy another bottle of this, no problem, full price, whereas the Winter's Gold I wouldn't. So there we go, folks. If you've tried either the Dalwhinnie 15 or the Winter's Gold, let me know what you think with your comments down below, and please subscribe, and don't forget while you're at it to hit the bell notification so you can stay up to date and get notifications for future videos. You can also follow me on social media, especially on Twitter and Instagram, where I am quite active, and you can follow my blog at whiskeystraight.home.blog. So thanks again, folks, for watching, and stay safe, keep on dramming, and most of all, enjoy your whiskey. Slàinte.